Welcome back to Inside City Hall. We return now to a story that we talked about at the start of the program. Over the last couple of weeks, there's been a disturbing string of anti-Semitic attacks in this city and in the suburbs that have put the Jewish communities on edge. Yesterday, Governor Cuomo was in Williamsburg. Today, Mayor de Blasio was in Borough Park, both of them meeting with Jewish leaders in a show of support. Here now to talk more about this and where we go next is a special panel. Rabbi Cohen is the Executive Director of the Crown Heights Jewish Community Council. Evan Berstein is the New York and New Jersey Regional Director of the Anti-Defamation League. And Jacob Kornbluh is a reporter for the website Jewish Insider. Thank you all for being here. And I wanted to start with you, Evan. Look, there are hate crimes, right? There are robberies, there are murders, there's a certain baseline of crime in our society. But there's a sense here that there's something different. What is happening and what's your sense of why?
I think, we've been dealing with incidents of hate and anti-Semitism in New York, for a long time. I think what we've seen really in the last, 3 weeks, I would say, with Jersey City and then the spate of attacks that we saw in Brooklyn and then ending with Muncie, the community, which is very intertwined. Jersey City has connections to Brooklyn, Brooklyn has connections to Muncie, et cetera. The community has really felt that it's been under attack in a way, that I have not seen in 7 years working at the ADL. And I think it's definitely changing how people are functioning right now in the Jewish community. And there's a lot of fear. And there's a lot of fear for the children that are now wondering what it's going to be like to go on Shabbos and walk to synagogue and being safe in the community and having conversations that they've never really had to have with young people, and that's incredibly disturbing to us.
And do you have any sense? Do you have a personal theory about why now and what this is all about?
I think this has been steadily ramping up over a period of time. I think over the last 2 years, we've seen a consistent number of attacks, especially in Brooklyn, where they were maybe happening less frequently. In the last year or so, it's been almost monthly, where the community's had a harder time resetting itself. And then now you have this enormous spate over the last week and a half. We've had even more we're dealing with even today. The community's not able to reset itself and not able to really get itself back into a normal rhythm. We've seen spikes in the past in Brooklyn, but this consistency now, and especially this large number in the last few weeks, is something that's totally different. And I think it's been ongoing, and I think trying to find the reasons behind that is important for us.
Yeah, and Jacob, there's often a feeling that the authorities are slow to react for whatever reason. And then you talk to local officials and they'll say, look, I get a call, I take action. I don't know about the next guy, I don't know about the other precinct, but I'm trying to do this. What's your sense of how the authorities have reacted to this rising tide over the last year?
I think the last week was a turning point where you see elected officials and law enforcement take it a little more serious. It remains to be seen because there's been reported incidents every single day. So this is still in the headlines. People are still out there in the community monitoring and seeing if there's an increased police presence. What happens afterwards? What happens next week when everything calms down and everybody goes back to normal and the Hasidic person goes onto the train and gets assaulted? What happens next month when another person who wants to do a copycat attack gets inspired by what he sees on social media and acts again? We don't know where the next attacker comes from, and the community has a sense of feeling that this is like a Band-Aid. Like whenever there's an incident, we react and we express solidarity.
Yes.
That is very much appreciated. But what happens next?
Right.
How do they feel protected on a daily basis?
Yeah, and Rabbi, I heard from people in our shared neighborhood that there are state troopers in the streets of Crown Heights, that there were people on the corners, with long guns, with assault weapons and so forth. That personally doesn't make me feel safer, but what's your sense of how things are?
Well, obviously, an increased police presence is welcome because there is a need to just, first of all, make a statement. Wherever there's a cop, there's not going to be an incident, so clearly that's important. But I think you're right. In the long term, NYPD is pretty good at if they're given the resources. So if you'll have a precinct that maybe normally has 4 cars or 5 cars out on a particular shift, a tour of duty, so you'll add another 2 cars. But it's a mile by a mile. We need more than that. We need really just a continued, and as Jacob said, not to go away in a week or 10 days as it usually is, but the resources should be dedicated to the precincts that have had the issues. Maybe it's 2 or 3, 4 precincts in the city that we should have ongoing police presence over an extended period, a few months, until we see this calming down. Because
there's a real difference regionally, right, between what the NYPD can do, which is pretty much almost anything at once, right, with 35,000 cops, and what much smaller jurisdictions, Muncie, for example, but a number of other counties where they just don't have the manpower or the sophistication.
Right. They don't have the resources. But I do think as important it is to have security and for the police to step up, I think we can't police our way out of this problem. I think this is a communal issue. There's clearly tensions in the community, and I think we need to get more proactive in our work. I think the reactive things that we're doing now with law enforcement is great, but what are we doing proactively to actually get to the heart of the problem? What do we know about why the perpetrators are doing this? You know, a lot of the perpetrators have been under the age of 18, they're juveniles. We need to find out why they're doing this and not just, you know, throw the book at them and put them in juvie. It's about figuring it out and how can they change their life to also change the community. And we just don't have that information, and I think that's critical for us as leaders to be able to do our best job of preventing this from happening so we don't have to ramp up policing.
Right. I mean, because in the end, it's very easy, as you know, for politicians to say, you know, we're going to have a show of force, we're going to put out state cops, we're going to put out more cops, tactical, you know, strategic response group, and so forth, but that can't stay forever. And that, in some ways, is not really what the source of the problem is, right?
The source of the problem is that everybody plays to their base and to their political narrative. And so if it fits for a Democratic mayor to blame the president, then great, he'll be every morning on CNN blaming the president. But if it comes from a minority group or from a group that is unidentified as a particular, serving a particular narrative, then it's harder for them to identify with it. And then what they will do is they will promise and pledge that they will increase police presence, that they will protect the community. Read my lips, we have heard it many times, but what we are seeing is a dramatic increase in the past few years. It's not just in the past month, it's not in the past year, it's a continuation of violent attacks. And not only violent attacks, it's also the divisive politics and also the conversation online, which is targeting a specific group that is more visibly Jewish.
Right. What's your best sense of how we should move forward? What do you think we should do?
Well, together with Jeffrey Davis, he and I went into a number of public schools towards the end of last year and talked to the kids, and a dozen different schools within 5 different buildings, and almost 1,000 children. We spoke to them about what they're hearing on the street. And we heard some things about stereotyping, we heard some things about bullying and people, but I think at the end of the day, the kids are acting out because they can, because they get away with it. And as there's a sense that the community is backing away from enforcement, it's hurting us. And this is only one manifestation, I think, of a problem. Certainly the local problem. I'm not talking about Muncie and Jersey City. Those are different nature of attacks. But I'm talking about what we're seeing in Crown Heights, young people on the street just throwing things at somebody or hitting someone. We have to make sure that they understand that it's not going to be tolerated, and it's not just going to be a slap on the wrist, but if somebody gets caught with this kind of attack, then there are going to be consequences. Okay,
and then of course one of the big responses, you are helping to organize what is turning into, it's much bigger than I realized actually as you're describing it to me. There's going to be a big march on Sunday where every single person watching this and anybody who wants to tell their friends, this is going to be a new narrative, sort of a show of force in the direction of tolerance and peace.
11 o'clock Foley Square on Sunday, and we're going to walk over the Brooklyn Bridge to Borough Hall, and we hope everyone can attend, and we want as many people. We know people are coming in from the Midwest, they're coming in from Boston. We hope that as many people can show solidarity for the Jewish community and overall hate right now, because I think we all need to come together, because we know anti-Semitism is a canary in the coal mine, and when Jews are being impacted this way, we know others as well, and we hope everyone can stand together.
Okay, we will be there on Sunday. Thanks very much for coming by, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Let's take a short break here. Coming up next, with the state's new criminal justice laws now in effect and being debated heavily, I'll be joined by one of New York's most prominent district attorneys to hear his concerns about the new laws. Stay with us.